Welcome to the maddening world of PSGifford. Are you sitting comfortably? Good, then I shall begin. Permanent Beauty by PSGifford. Julie Copeland eased her old battered red convertible along the gravel stone pathway. The old shocks made the car bounce and rattle. As she approached the end of the driveway, she turned off the engine and put on the parking brake. She gazed in wonderment at the imposing grey brick building, wrapped in tight green vines, framed beautifully in the English countryside. Then she smiled, in reassurance, as she noted a brand new Range Rover parked outside. I just knew this fellow was going to be bloody loaded, she considered as she absorbed the peaceful, rustic scenery with satisfaction. Feeling a tinge of anticipation, she focused her sparkling blue eyes upon the day's edition of a local newspaper, laying folded in the passenger seat. She tapped her fingers on it for a moment, then picked it up and hastily thumbed through it until she reached the classified ads. Julie soon found the one she had circled in red ink first thing that morning. With exaggerated gestures, she reread the words out loud, practicing her most sophisticated speaking voice. Attractive young model of a considerate disposition required to help me with my art. Exceptionally generous compensation shall be offered for the right candidate. Any serious applicant who believes that she exhibits physical qualities of an alluring manner should apply directly in person to me, Mr. Baker, between the hours of 2 and 4 Thursday afternoons. Julie glanced at her watch. Perfect, just in time. She climbed out of her car and stepped onto the gravel stone. Again she gazed about her as she made her way up to the French entranceway, containing a grand dark oak double front door. Pausing for a moment, realizing that once the door opened, chances are there would be no going back. She breathed in deeply and remembered the accumulation of unpaid bills collecting on the kitchen table. Then, after undoing 2 extra buttons of her blouse, revealing maximum impact of her cleavage, she rang the bell. Within moments she heard soft, unhurried footsteps approaching from the inside. Then there was silence, and as she studied the door intently, she noticed a peephole within its elegant carvings. Julie smiled innocently towards it. A few moments later, the door screeched slowly open. Standing there stood a grey-haired man of around 60. He had gentle facial features, an almost bald head, and a grey moustache. He was very neatly groomed and dressed tastefully in a white and blue striped shirt, dark brown dress pants, and perfectly matching coloured tie. Very much the archetypal English country gentleman, Julie considered with relief. Yes, the man inquired, with a deep sedate tone which perfectly matched his sophisticated appearance. May I help you, young lady? His eyes gently, yet meticulously, surveyed the young lady in front of him. I am here to see Mr. Baker about the modelling job, the one advertised in the paper this morning, she replied as she nibbled the bottom lip. My name is Julie Copeland. The man's eyes opened wide as his moustache twitched with obvious approval. Well, I am delighted to meet you, Julie Copeland. I am Mr. Baker, but do call me Thomas. He offered his hand to his visitor. Julie shook it and was surprised by its softness. I just knew someone was going to come today. I just knew it, he said. They stood there for a few seconds in awkward silence. Heavens, where are my manners? Julie, please do come on inside. He added with a formal half bow and gestured her in. Thank you, Mr. Baker. I mean Thomas, she answered with a nod as she made her way through the doorway and into a grand hallway. Mr. Baker promptly closed the heavy door behind her, bolting it shut. Can't be too careful these days. There are far too many criminal-minded people about, and I live here all by myself. For a moment Julie sensed something sinister both in his tone and the way he examined her, but in a wink it was gone, and once more he was beaming at her warmly. Julie studied the inside of the house with a combination of envy and disbelief. This place looks as if it's lost in time, she considered, as she glanced up along the dark corridor with old-fashioned brown and blue striped wallpaper, and ordained with grand, oversized oil paintings. She noticed with amusement that the paintings were all nudes, and quietly giggled. Mr. Baker noted her reaction to the artwork. Quite beautiful, don't you think? Julie, realizing that she'd been caught, looked intently at Mr. Baker. They are amazing. she said, as her mind she began to wonder what she was going to have to do for his money. But hell, she suspected that before she came, and at least he appeared a harmless old man. Easy money, she thought, as she once more remembered the pile of bills that awaits her on the bedsit. Well, I suppose we should get on with it then. Follow me if you'll be so kind, he said as he guided her along the hallway. Julie led through its parlour, crammed full of piles of old books and magazines, then through another hallway and finally through a door leading to the glass-enclosed atrium at the rear of the house. My gosh, these flowers are simply amazing, Julie said. I have never seen such vibrant colours in all my life. Why, thank you. I quite enjoy collecting beautiful things, as you might have noticed. He stood there directly in front of Julie, and his eyes explicitly began to explore her body. She smugly watched on as his eyes gently fell upon her lower thigh, peeking out from below her tantalizingly short skirt. His eyes then climbed up onto her delicate waist and were blinking as they reached her copious, freckled cleavage. Do you like what you see? She was not the least bit nervous now, and actually enjoying it, and felt herself tingling in expectation. Mr. Baker quickly resumed eye contact with her. Absolutely, you'll be simply fabulous, and as the advertisers pointed out, you shall indeed be very generously compensated for your visit here. He paused a moment as he continued to gaze at her, then added, You are precisely what I've been searching for. Please take a seat and make yourself comfortable. He points to a wicker wing chair in the corner of the atrium. So how much time can I keep you for? Julie felt his choice of words a little odd, but somehow she felt safe in his presence. I live by myself in a little bedsit just off the main street in town. I confess I was a bit embarrassed to tell anybody where I was even going today, so time is of no real consequence. She laughed nervously. You must consider me awfully silly. Nonsense, I quite understand. He winked at her. After all, it's not everyone who understands and appreciates fine art, now is it? Julie laughed again, discovering that she felt increasingly secure in his presence. Might I offer you a refreshing glass of homemade lemonade? Julie obediently sat herself in a chair. Lemonade would be lovely, she answered. Mr. Baker exited the room to return 7 minutes later, wearing a long white apron and carrying the drink. Walking up to her, he handed her the glass. Thank you, she said as she reached to take it. She lifted the glass to her lips. It is very good, a perfect blend of sweet and sour, she remarked as she took another sip. Mr. Baker watched on and he began to switch his weight from one foot to the other. So, Julie said, you did say I was going to be compensated well for this. I have never actually done anything this sort before. You might say I'm a virgin at modelling. Oh yes, I think you will find the reward for my work most gratifying indeed, he retorted, his quickened speech pattern revealing his increasing excitement. Now, what exactly kind of art do you practice? Oil painting, perhaps? Or maybe you're a sculptor of some sort, Thomas, she queried as she drank more of the lemonade. Oh, didn't I tell you? Mr. Baker responded as he walked over and picked up a battered brown leather bag. His step now was almost a skip. Julie suddenly felt overwhelmingly dizzy and the glass fell from her fingers and shattered on the floor. It was when, moments later, she felt the very last of her strength draining away from her and could no longer keep her eyes open, Mr. Baker spoke. I am an amateur taxidermist, he whispered to now half unconscious Julie, and your ample compensation is that you're going to be beautiful forever. Mr. Baker began to hum gleefully as he unclasped the brown leather bag and pulled out a long hypodermic needle. The end.